Hello everyone and welcome back to Trading Academy. We'll be doing an introduction to futures trading, specifically a Tradovate run through. So quick intro to futures, and then we'll look at the way I like to set up my Tradovate and go over some oddities of both of these things. Before we begin, quick disclaimer, please remember this is risky business. It's for educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor, nor is this financial advice. Futures contracts. All right. Futures contracts are a little bit odd. They expire. In the old days, they were made for bringing some sort of stability to markets, right? Especially commodities. But today we're going to look at more the NASDAQ and how the contracts work. All right. So they are available in durations of 1, 2, and 3 months, also known as near month, middle month, and far month, respectively. So we're going to be focusing on far month contracts, 3-month contracts. These contracts can overlap in terms of tradability. So you can be trading, for example, the contract that is expiring at the end of March. We can start trading the next contract before it expires. So it's very key for us to understand where the volume is. We want to trade where most traders are trading. And again, in this tutorial, we'll be focusing more on the 3-month or the far month contracts. Contract codes can be a little bit confusing, but they're coded respectively to the quarter and expiry date, as well as the year. Okay, so for example, SPX futures are traded under the ticker ES1. That's the ES mini, you'll hear it referred to as. And so a contract for the SPX futures will then have the name of the asset, ES1, which will be shortened, followed by a contract expiry and the year. So for example, the ES1 or the ES mini, you'll notice it sometimes written as ESH5, depends on what exchange you're on and depends what chart software you're using. So the ES obviously represents the ES mini. H represents the expiry month, in this case March, and the 5 is for the year 2025. There are differences between exchanges and chart software. So for example, on TradingView, the whole year is listed. So if you're looking for the expiry date of March for the ES, it's ESH 2025. Some will list the last 2 numbers of the year, so 25. Okay, codes and expiry dates for contracts. Each month has a corresponding letter for every expiry. All right, so as stated earlier, we'll focus on the quarterly. March expires in, contracts that expire in March have an H, June M, September U, and December Z or Z, depending where you live in the English-speaking world. As such, a contract for the NQ1, which is the NASDAQ mini, all right, it expires in March, will vary slightly based upon how the exchange lists the year, but will look like one of these 3. It'll be the NQH5 or the NQH25 or the NQH 2025. If you want to trade micro contracts, all you do is put an M in front of these. All right, so it would be the MNQH5, and we'll look at that a little bit closer on Tradovate. So this is just a quick rundown here of contract months, product codes, and this is all NASDAQ, all right? But you can find this on the CME website. So one thing that people get confused about is expiry dates. They're not always the same every year. So you can see here that March 2025, the expiry for March is on March 21st. That is the current contract we're trading. And in 2026, it's going to expire on the 20th of March. So if you Google what's the expiry date, you'll never really get a straight answer. You've got to go check out the calendar from the CME, all right? If you're trading CME futures, if you're trading futures from a different exchange, then you have to obviously go find that. So let's hop on to Tradovate and start exploring the wacky world of futures contracts. Okay, so here we are on Tradovate. This is the way I like my setup to look. Okay, if you come into the left top hand corner here, you've got an add modules. and we'll just slap it on default here. This is the default look that they give you with volume profiles. And if we go to Tradovate workspace, we'll go to dark default here. This is how you will first be introduced to this, and I find this to be extremely messy, and I don't really need it because you've got tabs here that you can use, different tabs. So I don't need all of this, and it's just way too busy for me. All right. So each one of these sections here has settings. All right. And you can close whatever you wish. It'll ask you to, nah, don't show me this again. Just close it when I ask you to. And then you'll see that the next feature will start to fill in that space. Okay. So I really don't want any of this stuff personally, but you can, you do you figure out whatever you want. So generally I just want a nice clean chart. Don't want all these indicators. I'm not a big fan of using indicators and things on Tradovate here. All right. Really all I want is order book and the chart. But again, you can come over here and you can see all of the possibilities that you can do. And to use these, so for example, if you want to see your trade performance for the day, you're just going to grab it, pull it, and throw it on. Okay. I took a quick trade earlier about 2 seconds ago just to have something on here, but it didn't. Oh yeah, no, there it is. Okay. So there you see 0 number of trades, 1 contracts, 8. I just opened it and closed it. So winning versus loses, nothing. Gross loss, breakdown, loss trades, trade fees, commissions. There you go. There's not much here. P&L history with fees. So this is all going to be for the day. All right. So you can see here that although it says gross P&L 0, my total P&L is actually 696 minus. All right. And that's because of the fees. Okay. So that's really as simple as it is. You just come over, click, drag whatever you want, throw it up there, and you can get all the information. All right. I'm not really going to go over that much of it. In fact, I won't go over any of it because we're just going to focus on how to set it up, especially your bracket orders. All right. So now we see here that you've got, well, let me put this on my dark default. Nope. All right. Okay, so you can close down the indicators if you want. You can keep them. To do that, you've got to click on the chart. What's going on here? There it is. All right. And when these little tabs here appear, that is where you're going to play with your chart. Okay, and chart settings. So configure chart elements. And you've got here Bollinger's, SMA, RSI. I don't want the RSI. I don't want the SMA. I generally do keep Bollinger's here. And that's really it. All right, so that's all I want. But not very, I really don't like the tools in Tradovate. Not a big fan, all right? So I tend not to use any of them, okay? So now we have a couple of things that we need to really keep in mind. We've got a couple tabs open here. So I've got 3 tabs open here. A lot of them are old contracts, weird stuff. Okay. So you make sure that if you've got a tab open here, if you've got multiple tabs, you have to make sure that your chart and your order book tabs are on the same page. All right. So in this case, we're on the EH S5. Okay. So if you start messing around with it, you're really you got to keep yourself very, very in tune with what's going on here, all right? Okay, so again, this is the order book. This is the chart. We're going to move this over to the NASDAQ here. So you just click on the tab here, and then you can pick the NASDAQ futures that is expiring in March. All right, so that's the NQH5. Your current market data subscription for this contract is for top of book. Would you like to continue and view only best bid? Yes, please. So again, I've only got level 1 order book. All right, if you get level 2, then you can see all the bids and asks that are lining up here. All right, it's very useful stuff, but I have that on Interactive Brokers, so I don't need it here. Okay, and now that we're on the NQH5 here, I'm going to come over and do the same thing so that my chart is looking at the same asset, all right? So very important, keep yourself looking at the same stuff, right? That's it. Now to open orders, before we get into that, this button here, exit and market cancel, exit and at market and cancel, okay? They're both, one's available on the chart, one's available on the order book. You hit that and it will get rid of every trade that you're in. So if we come here on the order book, I can place a trade in the order book. I can also place a trade on the chart. You're just gonna give that a quick mouse click there, and I've opened up one contract, all right? I'm waiting now. Haven't been filled. Let's see if price comes down. If I hit this button, it will get rid of that contract, all right? Also, if all I have to do is come here and hit this X, and it'll get rid of it. And you can do the exact same thing here on the chart. You just pick whatever level you want at the chart, click, and it'll ask if you want to sell or buy. One limit. I'm buying one limit there. And again, you're going to now find this in the order book here. You can close it there. You can also close that here.
Order filled.
And I just got filled on it. Didn't really want that, but that's fine. And you can also exit and market on and cancel on either one of these buttons. Okay. So this button's very important because so I've just exited. Okay. If you get, a position filled where you've got various take profits and you start manually changing some stuff around, sometimes the changes, if you're not just moving it, let's say you cancel one and then you put in so let's say you had a take profit here and you close that off and you up high put in a sell order that will cancel out your buy. If this doesn't hit and then price were to turn around and then hit your stop loss, this order will not get canceled. So when you're not in a trade, or you think you're not in a trade and you think you've got nothing open, just come up here and hit this button just to be safe, because you don't want to walk away from your station, go to sleep. The next morning you wake up and you're in a horrifyingly bad position that you don't know why you're in, all right? So very important. Okay, and then the other thing is going to be your automatic orders here. This is where you get your bracket orders, all right? So a bracket order is just an order that has a entry, a stop loss, and take profits. Sometimes, you can have just a stop loss, however you want to play it. So when you first open this up, it's going to be on off. Okay, so if you come into here, ATM settings, it's going to be off. You turn it on. Okay, once again, come into your ATM settings, turn it on. And then we're going to add here a name. We'll call it intro. Okay, now it's going to ask you if you want to see the price in ticks, in delta price, or in value. I personally like ticks, which is a quarter point. But if using full points or dollars is easier for you, then put in dollar value. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to ticks here. take profit, you're going to choose however many ticks you want. So we'll go for 50 ticks for our take profit 1. Stop loss is going to be, let's say, 25 ticks. So that's a 2-to-1. And the stop loss type, if you leave it just on stop, it's a market. You can do a stop limit. You can do trail stops, trail stop limits, auto break evens. All right, we're just going to keep this at a solid stop. So that is it. Now I'm going to hit add. All right, and you can add as many of these as you want. So now you see here that you've got quantity. Okay, once you hit the add, it opens up the quantity. So I'm going to put 1 contract there. My second target, I'm going to up it to 100 ticks. This is just purely arbitrary, all right? And the quantity is also going to be 1. My stop loss is going to stay the same. Okay, now I'm going to add another one, another 1 contract. I'll put my take profit here at 150 ticks. Okay, and we'll add 1 more here for 200 ticks. Okay, save. And now you see here now at the ATM, you've got your intro. So you can have different bracket orders. All right, so some people, including myself, I like to use different bracket orders depending on the session that I'm trading. For New York, my stop loss is going to be generally a little bit larger, and my take profits as well. For London, I tend to trade a little bit tighter. Okay, so now that we've got our setup here, we're going to have to make sure that the quantity we're trading is in line with our bracket order, all right? So we want 4 contracts. And you can over here as well put 4 contracts, all right? So let's get 4 buys here and see if we can get filled real quick here. Or I'll mark it in a second if it doesn't hit. So close. Come on. Get us in there. Okay. So
Order filled.
There we go. So now we're filled and we've got our 4 contracts. So you can see here now, this is our entry here, the blue line. Our stop loss is here. And we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 take profits all lined up here. So you can see this in the order book as well. Here's our stop loss of 4 contracts. And then there's our first take profit, second, third. So if you want to change any of this stuff, you can just grab this, click and hold, drag it around, drop it wherever you want. Okay, and you can also do it here on the actual chart on the right side, okay? Move them around however you wish. Okay. And that's really how you set up your bracket orders. It's pretty simple, but can be a little bit confusing, okay? So again, if price starts to come up and hits my, let's say, second take profit, and then you've got this nice little pivot here and it starts doing funny things around there, I might decide to close that position off. So you could just exit at market and cancel. All right, and remember this is a limit order that we got into. So when we hit that button there, it was buy 4 limits. Okay, so I'm just going to close this out, exit at market and cancel.
Order filled.
Okay, now to buy at market, you can just quickly hit that.
Order filled.
And you get automatically filled and price goes on. I generally market order in and limit order out. Save a little bit on fees, but that's it. right, so it's really that simple. That's it for your bracket orders. Yeah, that's it. So everything else here, remember that you can have several tabs opened here, right? Make sure that you're looking at the same thing. You can have several trades open at the same time, so be very careful and stay on top of the game, all right? Do not let it get away from you. Okay, so that's really it. It's that simple. We'll quickly talk about the multiplier, all right? So futures contracts are leveraged by nature. All right, and they're based on a multiplier. So the NASDAQ is a 20 times multiplier. What this means is that for every, this is a normal contracts we're trading here, for every 1 point that these contracts move, it's going to be $20 profit. Okay, so if it goes from, 21 to 22, it's going to be $20 per contract. So for 4 contracts, we're looking at $80 per point here. And if you're trading the micros, it's $2. If you want to trade a full contract on Tradovate, you need $1,000. You have to fund your account with $1,000, but don't trade one contract with $1,000 fund, because if you lose one, then that's it. You won't be able to open a trade, right? And if you want to open a micro on the NASDAQ, it's $100 minimum. So if you have $1,000 account, trade micros, and for goodness sakes, don't trade more than 2 of them. Like, be very careful. 100 points with 2 contracts can get you $400 real quick, but it can also lose you $400 real quick, right? So you have to be very careful. This is highly leveraged stuff. The ES Mini is a 50 multiplier. All right, so for every point, you're going to get $50, but it moves a lot slower than the NASDAQ. All right, the NASDAQ is quite volatile. So that is how the leverage works on this. All right, every asset has its own sort of multiplier. And remember, NASDAQ is a 20 times multiplier. ES Mini is a 50 times multiplier. And so these moves, you can catch a big move on 1 minute. And if you're getting 10 points out of a play, so right now we've got 4 contracts open, that would be $800 on a 10-point move here. Okay, so you really do want to be getting some profit out relatively quick. Don't be too greedy on this stuff, all right? There's our first take profits up there. That's going to be...
Order rejected.
Or, I just hit something and it's rejecting an order. That's good. So be careful too. It's very sensitive here. If you click on this, look at that. You see it just opens it up right away. So it's pretty sensitive. So if you're moving around on the order book, I highly recommend you put your mouse in the middle section here over top of the price. Okay. And do it that way. Yeah. Don't scroll over top of these. This is where you enter your orders, and then your orders will appear on this side. All right, so you can scroll there too. But when you're in this sweet spot here, when you've got that green box or this red box open up, be very careful. All right, and that really is kind of the gist of it. All right, so if you're going to fund a Tradovate account, you need $100 to trade micros, and it can get pretty hairy pretty quick. So I would highly recommend you throw in 1,000 to trade micros. And if you're going to trade full contracts, I'd recommend 10,000. All right, just to begin with. And even that is pretty, it's pretty tight. All right, you got to give yourself some breathing room here. So that is really it. All right, so if I close this out here, we'll just mark it at close. We'll close that market here.
Order filled.
Okay, and now again, if I want to see what my performance is for the day, I just go over, grab this trade performance, slap it on in. Gross P&L $80, total P&L 21 because of trade fees and commissions. All right, there's my winning trades to my break evens to my losers. P&L history for the day. All of this stuff resets at the beginning of the day. All right, and then to get rid of it, it's simply just close it down, and that's it. So that's really it. If you have any questions, just slap them down in the comment section. If there's something else you'd like me to go over here on Tradovate, let me know. I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff, but it's really just a quick intro. All right, remember that when you're setting up your bracket orders, all right, you don't want to make it too arbitrary. And let's say, for example, here, we will open up a quick sell here at market. Okay, so I've got right now a 7-point stop loss here, right? And that's pretty tight. So if I open that up and I'm looking at where I am right now, so here's my stop loss and here's my entry, right? It's actually not bad because I'm above this high. So if that's where my trade is going to be invalidated, if we break above this high, then that's a pretty good place. But if you open it and you see that the stop loss is in a weird spot, just grab it and put it into safety, okay? Now you see that it lets you drag one at a time here on this side. Okay, even though there's 4 contracts sitting there as a stop loss, so you're going to drag them all up at the same time. This happens sometimes on Tradovate, not really sure why, and then sometimes it doesn't happen. So if you just come over to the order book, you'll drag all 4 of them right away, okay? Move them wherever you want, but the problem is you're not going to be able to see where you are on the chart until you drop them, okay? And again, same thing for your take profits. If you do have multiple contracts at a take profit zone, this is why I don't like these legacy charts here. If you start to move it, you're only going to drag one at a time sometimes, all right? It's a little bit sketchy, I would say, of Tradovate. But yeah, I will do a Ninja Trader as well. Tradovate is doing some sort of sketchy stuff lately, like some of the bracket orders that you make are just a little bit strange. They don't quite work like you program them to. But yeah, you have to start getting away from Tradovate. They were bought by Ninja, right? So maybe they're just trying to get everybody over there. Let's see how that goes. But that's really it. And then at the end of the day, make sure that you hit your exit and market and cancel all before you walk away. For goodness sakes, keep yourself safe, all right? Thank you very much. Hope this was helpful. Again, any questions, just slap them down in the comment section or ask in the Discord. Join our Discord group. Link is in the description. And thank you very much.